You know,
I told you this
you
could be a
tried to
trap game
tell
for the
me be
Panthers.
careful about this game, and I said if it was in Carolina, I would agree with you. But clearly, the Packers. Did you? I did not know this, and I found this stat out about Friday, and I was thinking about you when I heard this stat, and I honestly should have listened to you because the Packers in their last 10 games, when they are favored by at least 6.5, they are 4-6 straight up.
I think they were like 12.5-point favorites going into this game.
I think it was somewhere between 12.5 and 13. And they're wearing those old school, classic, ugly uniforms.
Oh,
And
God. Thank
they
God they
did
did not wear those against the Steelers. Lord, have mercy.
they did not show up at all. Jordan Love had a pass that looked like Brett Favre turned back the clock, where he basically threw it from the left side of the field to the right side of the field to nowhere near the end zone for an interception.
Yeah, he threw it. I remember the one pass he threw into triple coverage.
Yeah, and that was picked off. So,
yes.
Now the interesting thing is Tucker Kraft is out for the year, and he's been a tremendous tight end for them. He was on my fantasy team. Big blow for the fantasy team and for Green Bay. But I do wonder now if this is going to force them to actually use their first round pick in Matthew Golden, who's been a bust.
Yeah. But I thought the Panthers could catch the Bills in a trap game since Buffalo had Kansas City the following week. But it seems like they caught Green Bay in the trap because guess what? And we'll get to this in the next subtopic. Green Bay hosts Philadelphia this week on Monday Night Football.
Okay, but before we get to that game, let me ask you this, since we're talking about the Carolina Panthers and trap games. Do you think now the Panthers are in a trap game coming off that big, high, emotional game? Now they got to take on the lowly Tyler Shoke and the New Orleans Saints, who aren't any good. Is there a chance for the Saints, who are a division rival of the Panthers, to catch the Panthers in a trap game?
I doubt it. Because this Panthers team, they're a game over 500. And
by the way, they're 2 games over the Falcons, and they already beat the Falcons this year.
Yes, they shut out the Falcons 30-0.
Am I correct? You picked Atlanta to win the division, or you had them as a fringe playoff team?
No, I picked Atlanta to win the division. You are correct.
So right now they're in 3rd place.
Yes, I know. Shows how much I know. But well, because like I said, I believed in Michael Penix and Drake London, and
I just said I like their roster, but I got to see more. And they went out this year. They beat the Vikings with J.J. McCarthy, who then goes on the road to Detroit, plays the best game he's played since the national championship game, easily, when he was the quarterback at Michigan. They beat Detroit, and Atlanta, they beat Buffalo, and they haven't won since.
No. But in terms of the Panthers, what are they, 4-0 in the last 4 games that Bryce Young has started? I think that's the stat.
I think you're right.
Yeah. And who's the one on this show that's been saying, will the real Bryce Young please stand up?
Well, technically, you're the one that have used the phrase. We both said that. You were higher a little bit more on the Panthers than me, and it's only because I didn't know with all the good teams in the NFC how good Carolina could be, because I thought they were 3rd in their division behind Atlanta. But right now they're better than Atlanta.
Yeah. And here's the thing. Like I said, they're a game over 500. They're running the ball really well with Rico Dowdle.
And Chuba Hubbard, who has now basically gone to the bench for Rico Dowdle, who, I don't know, there's a certain owner in Dallas that could have paid him and decided not to.
Yeah. Maybe they could have beaten the Bills 2 weeks ago if they stuck with Rico Dowdle and not split carries with Chuba Hubbard, but I don't know.
Well, that was also the game Andy Dalton started. I don't know if they really realistically had a chance.
Fair. But, you know, I've shitted on the Panthers for years because their owner, David Tepper, seems to be one of the more incompetent owners in the NFL.
And that's the other thing, too. You got to give a lot of credit to head coach Dave Canales, who was with Tampa Bay, resurrected Baker Mayfield's career. When they hired him in Carolina, nobody even knew he interviewed for the job. It was like, wait, he was what? He was the Bucs offensive coordinator. Now the Panthers hired him? What? And here he is in year 2, and he's got the Panthers looking like maybe not a great team, but they're not the Titans. They're not the Jets. They're not the Saints. They're not the Browns.
No.
They're not the Giants.
No.
I mean, dare I say they're not the Cowboys?
I
mean, they are.
You guys say it right now. They're a fringe playoff team. They're somehow.
Well, here's why I'm reserved to say that. Let's look at the NFC playoff picture now. Let's just take out the Cowboys, right?
The NFC North. Let me just say this.
Go ahead.
The NFC North is by far the best division in football. I don't know right now who is going to win that division. Because, like you said earlier,
I'll tell you right now who's going to finish 4th in that division. I think it's going to be the Vikings.
Interesting. But you got Green Bay, who loses to Carolina at home. You got Minnesota, who you just said is going to finish 4th. They go on the road and beat the Lions. You got the Lions, obviously, and then you have the Bears probably winning the craziest game I've ever seen.
Oh, my God, Caleb Williams. For all of you that doubted Caleb Williams, that was the Caleb Williams I thought we were going to see a year ago. But nonetheless, Matt Eberflus couldn't coach. He finally has a real coach in Ben Johnson. Their defense is garbage, but at least they're winning games. But to your point, the Eagles, the Rams, the Niners, the Seahawks, the Bucks, the Bears, the Packers, the Vikings, the Lions. It's 9 teams. I would say right now they are all definitively better than Carolina, so I cannot put Carolina anywhere in the playoff picture.
Well, I said Carolina's a fringe playoff team. I didn't say for sure.
Well, they're a fringe. You can't be a fringe playoff team if you're 10th in the conference. If you're 8th, maybe 9th. I think 10th's a little bit too deep. And I think Arizona, to be honest with you, I know it was a close game. I think Arizona's got more dudes than Carolina. They just can't finish games.
They have a rematch in Seattle this week. If you remember, Seattle won that game on Thursday.
In overtime. And I'm telling you right now, a spoiler alert for Brandon's World, Seattle's a 6.5-point favorite. I think Seattle probably wins, but I'm taking Arizona with the points. I think that's too many points. Those two teams always play it close, and I love the way Jacoby Brissett's playing.
Yeah, but to get back to the main topic, did the Packers get exposed? Yes, I think they did get exposed a little bit.
Well, it makes me nervous for this game coming up. Because I think the Packers are going to bounce back. I think they're going to be angry. This is obviously a rematch of the wild card game, and this is something that nobody has brought up yet on national television because they probably won't talk about this game till later in the week. But who in the offseason decided let's introduce legislation to ban the most unstoppable play in the history of the NFL, the brotherly shove, a.k.a. the team that tried to run it a couple years ago and Jordan Love fell down flat on his face, the Green Bay Packers. If I am the Philadelphia Eagles, I know we're coming off a bye, and this may be petty, and it may not be good for the overall success of the game. But the first play of the game, I am lining up in brotherly shove formation.
I told you this game a couple weeks ago before the Buccaneers-Lions game, before I changed my mind and switched to the Bucs-Lions game. What was I saying about the winner of this game?
Well, it's what I said going into the year, that this game was going to decide the number 1 seed in the NFC, which, for the record, the bye week for my Philadelphia Eagles couldn't have gone more beautiful if it tried. The Cowboys lost. The Commanders' season's over. The Giants lost. Green Bay lost. And Detroit lost. pretty much everybody outside the Rams were chasing for the number 1 seed lost.
Yeah. So your Philadelphia Eagles, by doing nothing, are back in the number 1 seed. This game, it does feel like it's a simmering rivalry is forming with these two. Because if you remember, they played a really good game last year down in Brazil, and then it came down to the final seconds in that wild card matchup last year in Philly.
And Jordan Love did not have a good game. Dallas Goedert had the stiff arm. I believe it was on Xavier McKinney and got to the end zone that really changed the game at that moment. The thing about Green Bay is, do you know this year they're 5th in rushing attempts, but they're only 23rd in total rushing yards? So a lot like Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs is not having the year that he had last year. The difference is Philadelphia has the receivers. Green Bay, it looks like does not, because, as I mentioned earlier, Matthew Golden's been a no-show. Romeo Doubs has been good, and obviously they'll try to get Christian Watson more involved. But this Green Bay team is a team that I thought was going to take a leap overall, especially with the Micah Parsons acquisition.
You and I both have the Packers making the Super Bowl. I have them beating the Ravens. You have them losing to the Bills.
And if we were to do a mid-season amendment, I don't think either of us would pick Green Bay to come out of the NFC.
No, I would actually consider taking Seattle. As of right now, yes.
Obviously, I think everybody that has watched championship rings and knows me knows who I'm taking at this current moment to get out of the NFC.
My God. If the NFC championship is Seahawks against the Eagles, that would be fun.
Oh, you know my horror story about playing the Seattle Seahawks. I tried to explain this to you a couple years ago, right before Drew Lock on a Monday night.
I remember this.
Came into my building with Coach Pencil's first game.
No, that was in Seattle.
It was in Seattle. And oh my God, I have no idea how we lost that game, but that was the official beginning of the collapse of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, and I was in Seattle for a Seahawks game back in 2023 against the Browns. That stadium is no joke. It is.
Yeah. It's why I have a fear of going to Seattle, because it is my ultimate house of horrors. Tampa Bay was my house of horrors until this year, and now we're back in Seattle being the house of horrors.
Yes, but you know what's an interesting aspect of this game that I don't know if a lot of people are going to talk about? You mentioned it earlier. Who was the player, how he traded for? He played cornerback.
Jair Alexander, who was a Pro Bowl for Green Bay for at least a few seasons. Didn't work out there at the end. He was a healthy scratch for Baltimore. So we don't know what he has left, but if he has anything left, it will be an addition for this Eagles team.
But the reason I'm specifically bringing up Jair Alexander is because of the point you just made. He was a Pro Bowler for what team? Oh, that's right. The Packers. And they are playing in Green Bay this week. So is it a coincidence that Howie traded for him the week you guys are playing in Green Bay? I don't think so.
I have no idea why teams still decide to make trades with the Eagles, but please continue to do so.
Yes. Yeah, if Howie calls you, just hang up instantly.
Oh, man. Like I said, going back to that trade, Jalen Phillips, we'll see how much of an impact he has. But by the way, the Eagles still have a first, a second, 2/3, 2 4s. They're still loaded. Giving up a third-round pick isn't going to mean much.
Dude, there was a lot of conversation going around on social media that the Eagles actually tried to trade with the Browns for Myles Garrett.
Yeah, and by the way, I do believe that could be real, because I don't know if you know this. Andrew Berry, not only did he come from the Eagles to the Browns, but his twin brother, still works in the Eagles organization.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if the Browns and Eagles do a bit of business in the offseason. But getting back to this game, I want to see how Jalen Hurts does coming off the bye, because he wins Super Bowl MVP, and this season, for the most part, it seems like he's hasn't really missed a beat. But throughout the season, at the same time, the offense hasn't quite looked the same. There's been issues.
Well, the last couple weeks, though, it started week 7 against the Vikings. It carried over week 8 against the Giants. I think those extra 10 days that they got, which was a mini bye between the Giants and the Vikings game, they changed some things schematically, started going more under center. I am hoping that we can get Cam Jurgens back, the center who ended up missing the Giants game, and really the offensive line that's been banged up almost the whole year. If they get healthy and they start creating more holes again for number 26 in the backfield, that's when you as a defense have a problem on your hands.
I do wonder if the Eagles are going to start using more designed quarterback runs with Jalen.
I think we're going to do it when we have to, more so mainly in the postseason. A lot like Buffalo, who, remember, Tony Romo pointed out on the Sunday broadcast against Kansas City, they haven't been using Josh Allen as a runner much until when they had to play Kansas City, and they busted it out at the right time. So I do like the fact that outside of week 1, Jalen Hurts is not running the ball as much. I don't want him taking that punishment. I think the most underrated aspect of this Eagles team this year is Jalen Hurts has had one fumble that was against the Rams in week 3 and one interception that was against the Giants in week 6. He has not turned the ball over very much. It's efficiency. And if he continues to do that, it's really hard to beat this Eagles team.
So, in my opinion, the key player for you guys offensively, not just in this game against Green Bay, but moving forward, is not Jalen Hurts, it's not A.J. Brown, and it's not Saquon. It's the receiver opposite of A.J., the Heisman Trophy winner out of Alabama, Devontae. I think Devontae is the key for you guys offensively down the stretch, because A.J. Brown, to me, is more the big physical wide receiver that you just throw it up and he can, basically out-rebound you, or you know what I mean?
Yes. Continue.
Whereas Devontae, as I was kind of saying about Rashid Shaheed earlier, and why I love the trade for him going to Seattle, Devontae is the one that can take the top off the defense. I personally think he should have won Super Bowl MVP last year. No discredit to Jalen Hurts in any regard. But you saw on that bomb Jalen Hurts threw, was that in the second half?
It was when they were up 34-7.
Okay, so you know exactly what play I'm talking about.
Of course, I watch that play, I think, every day this offseason.
So, and I'm not saying the Eagles need to throw that type of pass to Devontae every time, but use him in that type of frame, if you know what I mean.
See, I think the key isn't one single player. I think it's a unit. I think it's the offensive line.
But do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, but I think this Eagles team goes as the offensive line and Saquon Barkley goes. And I think it goes as much as Jalen Hurts can distribute the football.
I also, to that point, yes, they need to get the run game going, but I'd like to see them use the play action more.
Which is what I kept saying they started doing against Minnesota and the Giants, going more under center, play action. You saw the deep touchdown to Devontae Smith against the Vikings in that Minnesota game. So it'll be very interesting. Coming off a bye, with the Lions going over after that, a short day, a Sunday night game, and then you have your arch rival Cowboys. It's a 3-week pretty brutal stretch here coming off the bye.
And here's my other thing. You got, with Green Bay, it's not just Micah Parsons. It's Rashawn Gary and, of course, others.
Which is why Mawaya and Lane Johnson and Micah Parsons has had success against the Eagles in his career.
So I'm wondering if the Eagles are going to try and use more bootlegs with Jalen Hurts to try and roll him away from the pressure?
I don't think so. Jalen's not really a bootleg quarterback. He's not an under center, play fake it, roll out to the right type quarterback. That's not really his scheme. If they're going to do it, it's more of a gun based scheme. And again, he really does it if he has to buy time and he can make up for on the run. But he is mostly in the pocket. If he's going to run, he'll escape and run. He doesn't throw a lot outside of the pocket. So I don't think they're going to do a lot of the bootlegs.
Yeah, okay, I see what you're saying. But Rashawn Gary and Micah Parsons are going to want to come after him. So
their version of the bootleg is an RPO pop pass to Goddard in the flat, where it's a gun play where Goddard comes across. It's been very successful this year, especially in the red zone. Goddard comes across, and when they go to hand it to the running back, he will fake it and just do a little rollout to the right or the left and hit Goddard in the flat.
So, me personally, I'd like to see the Eagles use a little bit more bootleg offense in this game to roll Jalen away from the pressure that Green Bay is going to bring.
Well, this game, I would imagine, is both of our number one games for the week. But let's get into the other. So obviously, Josh mentioned we all know Eagles Packers is number one. But I'm going to go from 5 to 1 here. Number 5. We talked about the Toronto Blue Jays potentially getting an NFL team. The NFL may be going overseas. Let's go overseas. Let's go to Germany, where the Atlanta Falcons will take on the newly acquired Sauce Gardner and the Indianapolis Colts. We talked about both these teams a little bit earlier. The Falcons with Michael Penix having a little bit of a disappointing season. If they lose this game and the Panthers beat the Saints, it almost feels like their season may be over. And for Indianapolis, they're trying to bounce back after the loss to Pittsburgh. Sauce Gardner has already made an international trip this year to London with the Jets. So maybe he's an expert for the team now on international travel. But it'll be interesting to see how many reps he gets and to see if he does shadow one Drake London. Number 4. A very interesting, I think, a low-scoring, physical mouse math battle in the AFC. Sunday Night Football, where Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers take on Jim Harbaugh and the Los Angeles Chargers. This would have been the Najee Harris revenge game for the Chargers if he was healthy this season. The Chargers are missing Joe Alt, Rashawn Slater, Mekhi Becton. Will that offensive line be able to hold up against TJ Watt, Hines Smith, Cam Hayward, and then Steelers defensive line? If the Steelers defense is truly back, I think they should win the line of scrimmage and, quite frankly, have a dominating game against mostly backups on that Charger offensive line.
SoFi is going to look like a Steelers home game on Sunday night.
Yes. Number 3. Talked about this a little bit earlier as well. We are going to the NFC West, but it is not the Rams-Niners matchup. It's the other one between the Arizona Cardinals and the Seattle Seahawks. These two teams always play entertaining games. Arizona is coming off a massive win against the Cowboys on Monday night. Seattle is coming off the thrashing of the Commanders. But these two teams always play it close. And I'm interested to see if this Arizona team that's been in every game this year and is still 3-5, how tough they play the Seahawks, who, again, are looking like potential Super Bowl contenders. And number 2 on this list, it is basically the Tom Brady Bowl between the New England Patriots, who are going on the road. This is their first real test since week 5 against the Buffalo Bills when they had to go on the road on Sunday night. How will they handle Baker Mayfield, Emeka Egbuka, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense, who are coming off a bye, and Tampa is trying to keep pace with the Eagles and Rams for a potential number 1 seed in the NFC.
Okay. So and then you have Eagles Packers number 1.
Yes.
Okay. So at number 5, that's where I have Patriots Buccaneers. If the Buccaneers had Chris Godwin and Mike Evans healthy, this game would be much higher on the list for me. But because of those two injuries, it's a little lower for me. But it'll still be a really good test for New England. Like you said, this is their first true test since that Week 5 game at Buffalo. They're still facing Baker Mayfield and Emeka Egbuka. So I echo what you're saying. Can the Patriots go on the road and beat one of the top NFC contenders? At number 4, I'm surprised you didn't have this game on your list. It's the battle of the color purple. Ravens, Vikings. The Vikings are coming off of a very impressive win in Detroit against the Lions. Meanwhile, the Ravens, they made a couple additions today. I like the addition of Draymond Jones at linebacker for them. And they got Lamar Jackson back. They destroyed the Miami Dolphins on Thursday Night Football. This is the second game of a 3-game road trip for them, which finishes next week in Cleveland. So it's a very interesting spot for both of these teams. So Ravens, Vikings for me. You had Cardinals, Seahawks in number 3. I've got the other NFC West game here. I've got Rams, 49ers. Actually, I have that number 2. Number 3, I agree with you. Steelers, Chargers. You got the Steelers coming west, so they're going to have to take a day off to travel out west. Does that affect them? I don't really think so, but it is a factor. And, of course, like you said, the Chargers are basically going to be playing backups on their offensive line. Can TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, Casey Hayward take advantage of that? And for the love of God, will somebody else step up as a wide receiver for the Steelers? It seemed like they went to Calvin Austin a little bit, but not enough to where I would say, oh, yeah, he's the definitive number 2.
We talked about this order earlier. There is a reason why they tried to get Jacoby Myers.
Yes. And then at number 2, this is where I have Rams 49ers. This is one of the better rivalries in the NFL. Of course, they played that classic NFC Championship game a couple years ago that was won by the Rams en route to when they won Super Bowl 56 against the Bengals. But the Rams are let me double check. They're 6-2, I think.
I believe so, because they had a bye week 8.
Yes, they are 6-2. 49ers are 6-3. The 49ers, of course, beat the Rams on Thursday Night Football in SoFi. So if they can win this game and sweep, that's a huge feather in their cap, especially because they already beat the Seahawks in week 1 in Seattle.
Real quickly on San Francisco, can I say something for every football fan and every fantasy football fan out there in America? Why are these guys lying about all their injuries? What the hell is going on with Brock Purdy, Ricky Pearsall, Brandon Ayuk, who was supposed to be back by like week 4 or week 5, and all of a sudden, he's still kind of hurt. Or Brock Purdy, who was going to come back 3 weeks ago, but all of a sudden, that turf toe, it don't feel real good. Or Ricky Pearsall, who was supposed to only miss 1 game, and all of a sudden he's missed 4.
Yeah. And then at number 1, Eagles, Packers. Nothing more needs to be said about that.
I guess, like, I don't know what to make of San Francisco because they're so beat up. I don't know if they're good or if they're going to fall apart.
Yeah. Let's see. Regarding dishonesty about injury.
My mind immediately goes to gambling these days. I mean, yeah, obviously. Now, the interesting thing is, if you really want to get into a debate, I think Mac Jones looks like a carbon copy of Brock Purdy, just he's not being paid. Brandon Ayuk, I've had him on my fantasy team all year long this year, and he's been on my IR since week 1 because they said he was going to be out 6 weeks. And here we are in week 10, and they haven't even opened his practice schedule. They have Kendrick Bourne, and they threw to a lot in that Niners game that haven't thrown to him since. So I don't know what's going on with San Francisco.
Yeah, and the Browns play them in just a couple weeks here in Cleveland.
That is